We need a Deathstroke movie or show, and that's final. End of discussion. Now let's spend the next 5 minutes talking about why. BD here, and I want to talk about Deathstroke right now because Joe Manganiello's take on this character seems like the best thing we're never gonna see. Not in like a Channing Tatum as Gambit or Will Smith as Deadshot kind of way. Honestly, those probably would have been really cool. More so Deadshot, but we've heard so much of what Deathstroke could have been if the DCEU continued in its original direction that it's hard to not want to see this realized. First of all, let's take a listen to what Joe Manganiello said on the Comic Book Nation podcast.
One of my favorite movies.
Systematically dismantles Bruce's life and starts murdering all the people in it as he destroys his finances and just basically paints him into a corner. And there was like a big, huge showdown, I think, between, it was like Batgirl. Batgirl jumps in to try to help Bruce because Deathstroke is so fast that he can anticipate Bruce's movements. And there was this huge fight in Gotham City where Batman is completely afraid because he realizes he's met someone who can take him. And then that leads to this big climactic battle through the streets of Gotham City.
Who looked at that and thought, nah, this is a bad idea? Who looked at this story where Slade Wilson goes toe-to-toe with Ben Affleck's Batman, tears apart his life from the inside, and ultimately has a showdown in Gotham where Batgirl joins the fight and said, nah, scrap it. Does that person hate money? I think that person hates money. The changes all started when Joss Whedon took over Justice League. The theatrical version of that movie had a post-credit scene where it seemed like he was building like a Legion of Doom, but this clearly shows that the plans were already being changed at Warner Brothers with this scene. When you look at the same sequence as Justice League's original director Zack Snyder intended it to be seen, you see that Deathstroke learns Batman's identity is Bruce Wayne, and that's what sends him on the mission to tear apart Bruce's life. Why are we not getting that story? I've heard firsthand from Manganiello how much he loves this character and the story of it. I can tell you that I, like many of you probably as well, have watched plenty of other interviews where he talks about Deathstroke and just seems to get it. I think that makes him a great fit for the character. And then there's Marv Wolfman's thoughts. Wolfman, if you don't know, is the co-creator of Deathstroke, and also characters like Cyborg, Raven, Starfire, Tim Drake, and my personal favorite character, Nova. If anybody has some credibility here, it's Wolfman. He said in a Facebook post that they had lunch together, and then, you know what he said after that? A firm seal of approval. I feel more confident than ever that we got both the Slade Wilson the movies need and the Deathstroke great movies deserve. The guy who created the character said that, and yet it feels like no amount of Twitter trends will be enough to get this movie or series made for some reason. I don't get it. It honestly seems like an easy and much needed win if you make a Deathstroke show on HBO Max. This is a very popular villain, and the DC multiverse would certainly allow the story to play out on the streaming service without interrupting what Matt Reeves is doing with Robert Pattinson and the Batman movie. After all, DC has to be among the most valuable and marketable properties HBO Max has in its arsenal to entice new subscribers, right up there with, if not above, the Harry Potter franchise, or maybe the Matrix movies, or even the Monsterverse. But DC is just a juggernaut of a franchise. All comic properties really are right now. So doing a series is an easy win, I think. And I'd argue that a high-budget DCEU TV show that mirrors what the MCU is doing with Disney+, but a more mature, audience-oriented story, as Zack Snyder's Justice League was intended, would be an easy win for the streamer. Clearly, Joe Manganiello is game. He's literally trying to just will this thing into existence single-handedly. Ben Affleck hasn't said anything, but he came back to film more Batman stuff for the additional scene in the Snyder Cut, and he's coming back again to play Batman in the Flash movie, so maybe he'd be up for it. If he threw the cape and cowl on for an HBO Max series with Deathstroke, I mean, how do you not subscribe at that point? I know I'd be down to watch it as soon as I could. But what do I know? I'm just a host for Comicbook.com, tweeting hashtag Deathstroke HBO Max, just like Deathstroke himself, Joe Manganiello did on Monday, which, by the way, became a worldwide Twitter trend. So, maybe we're not alone? Rant over. Do you want to see a Deathstroke series on HBO Max? If you're watching on Twitter, throw this a retweet if so, with the hashtag Deathstroke HBO Max to help the cause. If you're watching on YouTube, throw a thumbs up at me. I don't know, maybe that'll help something. Drop your thoughts in the comments section or send them my way on Instagram at BrandonDavisPD, and head over to Comicbook.com/DC for more updates. I'm BD. I'll see you there.